Another 70 series video. We're off to CarTech Tyre and Auto this morning. We've been lucky enough to get sponsorship from Kumho tyres, and we're going to be putting a set of the MT71s on the 79. I know I said I wasn't going to be modifying this vehicle. We got the GVM upgrade pre-rego. That was purely to tow bullet truck. Now we're moving this on in a couple of months when the portaled 79 comes. But the temptation to take it off-road on some decent shoes was just too much. So a set of 285/75 16s or around the 33 inch, we'll be getting them fitted up today. So let's get out of this rain and get down there and see Nick. So we're waiting to get out at school and look at the weather. We're not getting out. Oh, we're staying in the car all day, homeschool. Needless to say, the kids got a little bit wet, and so did I getting out to get their bags out for them. Oh, Sydney's turned it on again. Great day to be inside a tyre shop getting some big tyres fitted. On my way out to Nick's, I got a hot tip on a bar and some help from Michael, my Toyota guy, the guru. We established that it was the right part number for a GXL with flares. Now for what they were asking, I had to have it. Not my first preference to put a Toyota bar on, but it comes with the side rails and then there's the mounting kit. So there's brackets and stuff that you need for the genuine bar. So what this is going to mean is I can put that 12,000 pound winch on the front of this. And once we see and get these new tyres, at least I can give them a really good test now that I've got something to recover myself by. Because to do a tyre test justice, you need to be able to put yourself in a position where you need to be recovered. So if I do go out on my own for this test coming up, at least I know that I can get myself out of a predicament that I may put myself in. The people that know me and know what I put the old grey truck through, we've done quite a few tyre tests in that truck. We tested the Razors, we tested the Trepidors, and we tested the KM3s. Now not everyone that wants to see a tyre review has lockers, so we do try terrain unlocked first. Then obviously we will use the lockers if we need to. Ah, there's Nicholas's old TTR 50. So I want to give these Kumhos an honest test. I want to put this truck in situations where the winch is probably going to need to be used. She's on the hoist, and our first look at these spacers since we put them on. We're going to check if they have come loose. Now I got a lot of negative feedback for running the spacers. I will, however, be taking these spacers off for the upcoming tows that we do. So whenever I've got bullet truck in tow, we're not running the spacers. No, they haven't come loose, so that's a good sign. For the test that we're going to be doing on these tyres, the terrain that we're going to be going in to do them in, I want to have the correct track width in the rear. I want to be as wide as possible. Look at these bad boys. What do you think, Peter?
Yeah, looking nice and big.
Oh, that makes the rim look better already. The MT71. Build date, first month 2022. So these are fresh. Definitely made that rim look better. Such an aggressive sidewall. This is a question that's come up a bit. Now in the guide for a 285/75 16 tyre, recommended rim size of 7.5 to 9 inches wide. So the factory GXL wheel is a 16 by 7.5. So that fits into the guideline. So yes, it is a legal fitment. Dun dun dun. Boom! But these tyres have got a load rating of 1,700 kilos. You got to remember, it's not the tyre holding the weight. Well, it is, but it's the air in the tyre that's doing a lot of work. So the correct tyre pressure is so important. Now that weight right there, that's at maximum PSI, which these tyres on the sidewall say 80. So that's massive. And just to give the difference, the load rating on the factory tyre was around the 1,200 kilos, just over 1,200 kilos, so massive difference. So that's the example that it's not just the tyre that holds the weight, it's the amount of air, the PSI that you have in that tyre that's helping with these numbers. The factory trays, and I did this on the grey truck, I've just got to move these brackets out with 20 mil and that'll fix the legality issue here with it poking out. The 285 sits nicely in the flare. It wouldn't have mattered if they stuck out a touch because I've got the brush bar now with that bull bar. That's beefed it up heaps. Alright, next job, bull bar. What a difference a set of tyres makes. Alright, now before we take off, these tyres' life starts at 15 millimeters. So that's 15 mil of depth. It feels great. You're sitting a little bit higher. It's just enough that you can notice it. Yeah, they feel great at 80 k's. It's balanced up beautifully at 0. And we're running 42 PSI. Kurt said, just try that, see what I think of it. Another question I've been asked a lot of late is how much lift do you need for a 285 7516? My honest opinion would be 2 inch. But here, back in 2016, I ran a 285 7516 with stock suspension. I think I notched that front bumper a little bit while I was waiting for my bull bar, but nothing else touched. It didn't touch the back and it didn't touch the front with that cutout. So that's stock suspension. And it was a KM3 285 7516. We'll be one step closer to our test run after a couple of hours working on this. We'll get this 12,000 pound winch in it too. So it looks like this will be my office for the day. And Michael's got me the instructions, the genuine ones, we've downloaded them. So first job is going to be pulling the old bumper and grill out. Probably the easiest part we're going to do. The 3 hex screws and then the 2 clips removes the grill. The instructions say clip removing tool. I don't know what that is. I got an electrician screwdriver though. It's doing the jobs, pulling them out. Really, I'm not the most patient of men. And doing fiddly little jobs like this, undoing small clips and small nuts and washers, I'm really trying hard not to break any of the small items that I need to reuse. It feels like an eternity of pulling stuff apart. Bits and pieces everywhere. So what we've got to do, by the look of it, is grab the harness off the fog lights from the old bar and rig them up to that. I've got to get the winch in there. And now we can start assembling. So we've got this extra bit of chassis support that goes on. Just quietly, I think I may have found a spot for this bumper that Shell won't mind. Would have been awesome to see it somewhere in the heater room. Oh, you don't see that in everyone's house. The Hilux's about to roll over. Well, in this house you do. Nicholas's RC car. You're leaving it here. Can't be much left in that. No, I didn't think so. A pool ornament. Get them fog lights working, and come summer, party will be on. Trying to follow the instructions as best as I can. These look like they protrude too far, don't they? What it looks like there's only 6 bolts holding the bar, which is what the winch is bolted to this chassis. I guess that might be normal, but I mean there's a lot of force on the bar itself because the winch is in the bar. So the bar's pulling forward on these 3 pivot points, which is then held to the chassis. It might make sense. I'm just used to the ARB and TJM ones, which is one piece and you bolt it onto the chassis. While Shell was around to give me a hand, we decided to do a quick test fit up. The bracket kit, there is a bit of play in the bracket kit, so I just wanted to make sure that the bar fitted over the top of them. Says 2 people, so my lovely assistant's down there putting the bolts in. I didn't get the winch in. I was supposed to put the winch in before you put the bar on. All right, the fog lights are working. Let's get this winch in. What I thought was the sound of wind coming from the headland. All of a sudden the skies opened up and down came the rain. It had set in too, so for the rest of the day, I was working in a dry zone, wet. Yes, I know, it would have been easier and probably the correct thing to do to mount the winch to the bar before we sat it up onto the chassis. But Shell wasn't around. With the extra weight of the winch bolted to the bar, doing it one person. My fair lead needs to go in the middle and my bolts are at the bottom. So I can't use it. You kind of need one that's got like a step fair lead. So you got to bear with me. Don't criticise. I've got to pick kids up in an hour. What I'm going to do is I'm going to bring 2 small bolts back through this middle hole and I'm just going to bolt the fair lead to the bar. Doesn't do anything except tell the rope not to go and get cut. So that's what we're going to do. Nothing's going right today. Next problem, no fair lead. Bolts are too long. Have to cut them down. So it ended up being terribly tight, the body of the winch where I put the bolt for the fair lead. So I ended up putting washers after I'd cut the bolts down. What a nightmare. We got there in the end. With the weather and having run out of time, probably won't get these in today, but that's the side step. And Michael, my Toyota guru, he can get me the last bit if we want them. I reckon they look nice. Gives a little bit wider step too, protects the factory step. Next time. Just an update, I've been driving it now for a couple of hours at 100 and geez, it's beautiful to drive. The gearing hasn't changed at all, but again we're unladen and the steering's just beautiful. So that's on the 42 PSI. I feel like it might be just a touch bumpy for me. So I'm going to look forward to taking them down to 36. It's just a personal choice. Got to remember too that heat is one of the biggest killers of tyres. So what creates the heat is the wrong tyre pressures. Now we've all been guilty of it, me especially. We go up on the beach and we spend a month with low pressures and then we don't air up straight away when we hit the blacktop. This is why it's important to carry compressors. You must air up. The heat breaks down the compound of the rubber. It also weakens the sidewall, so it's so important. Once you get off your beach, air up. The #1 killer for a tyre is heat. Pretty ordinary weather conditions. Fair bit of rain too in the last half an hour. The tyre's behaving nicely. I've decided to take just a touch out of them. 42 was good, but just a touch out. I'm gonna go to 35. With the suspension we've got, it's pretty hard unladen already. Look at that. The bigger size tyre and the speedo is exactly the same. So we're actually accurate now. There it is there on the GPS. That's 100 and we're just on 100 now. I don't know how car manufacturers get away with it. It doesn't surprise me, you know. It happened with the grey truck, even Shell's Fortuner. It's got bigger tyres, but now the speedo's accurate. I know there's an ADR discrepancy of about 4%. You think you're getting 100,000 K warranty, but you know, you're hitting that in 90,000 Ks if you're running your stock size tyres for the duration. I'm really looking forward to getting this 79 out and about and doing this test. The last test we did was on a set of Maxxis Trepadors on a much more modified vehicle, and it was a much bigger tyre. I really am looking forward to a more road-friendly muddy. Here's some footage of the old grey truck going hard. Geez, that was a tough truck. So keep an eye out for the next video that we do with the 79. It'll be the white one in the hard stuff. I hope you enjoyed this. Please subscribe so you get notified of all our upcoming videos. We've got plenty on.
Come this way a bit.
push the back over a little bit. A little bit of wheel slippage there on the front left. Wow, he's done that on purpose. And as always, thanks for watching.